Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Pastor Keenan PKR back with another edition of People Suck, Love 'Em Anyways. Thank you for tuning in, for hitting that download button, and for telling everybody about us. And we thank you so much for all the support. And as always, I got my hostess with the mostest, my sidekick Nick over here beside of me, looking like he's seen better days today, man. He just came off a 2-mile walk, and he's getting his health in gear after that message Sunday, and he's going away with all the fast food, right? And it's just straight.
I really want to try. We'll see.
Oh
we'll see.
Man, he's on the Daniel fast.
I'm not on the Daniel fast.
Oh man,
I don't think I eat half of what's on the Daniel fast.
Right, there you go. Hey, it'd be a time to try new things, man.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Oh man, so again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the continued support, for doing what you do. And like I said, we're continuing to reach new countries and hopefully some new states before too long. I think we kind of been stagnant in the states, haven't we? We kind of stayed 32, 33, something like that.
Yeah, so if you're listening, you got friends and family in other states.
Low places.
And low places. Yeah. If you're from, Montana, I'm just kidding. But, hey, if you got friends in other states, family members in other states, please let them know about People Suck.
Yeah, love them anyways. Right, there you go, man. So absolutely. And again, thank you for the people who shared and continue to hit that download button. We appreciate it so much. Appreciate your support. And we're actually going to talk about a little bit of that tonight. We don't really have a news article. Well, we did have a news article, but I told Nick, I said, man, let's just kind of free flow tonight. Let's be a little bit original. I know we change up things on here a lot. Maybe
giving people whiplash.
I was going to say, maybe if we found a script and stuck to it, people would be like, okay, now I know what
I'll listen to that.
Right, I know what to expect every week. But, we wanted to talk a little bit about consumer Christianity tonight, and about how a lot of times that can be deadly whenever it comes to your relationship with Christ, your relationship with other people, your relationship within the church, things like that. And that mindset of just coming in to see what you can get out of it versus what you can put into it and help other people. That's it's not only a bad mindset to have, but I think it can we've said this before, Nick, you can hold the key to the service, and if you're not here, man, you can't unlock that service if you're not here, right?
Not even physically. I mean, if you're not, I guess invested, if you're not locked in here, you can be here but not be here.
Oh, absolutely, man.
And I think, it's the same way with work, at a job site, because again, I know we try to kind of make it, understandable to a wider view of people or wider audience, but, if you're at your job site and you're just, sitting there every day collecting a paycheck, you're not helping the company move forward. You're not growing yourself. You're not helping the people around you. As a matter of fact, you may be holding people back and holding people down.
Why do people go to work?
To make money, I would assume.
Yeah, right. To make money, to have a house, to keep a car, to eat.
The essentials.
Right? I like to eat.
Yeah,
right.
It's good.
Hot water, electricity, things like that. I feel like people go to work, man, because they want to enjoy things. But how much better is work whenever you actually enjoy work?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think you're in a job now that you enjoy, right? You enjoy getting up and going on a daily basis, and I think honestly too, it's like whenever you come into church, it's like the question becomes, do you enjoy coming to church? And why? The question is why? Why do you enjoy? What do you enjoy about your job? We can flip back and forth here. As far as preaching, I enjoy whenever somebody gets their life changed. I enjoy those moments. Personal training, I love seeing people sweat and reach goals. As nutrition, same thing. So it's like, why do you enjoy? What's one thing you enjoy about your job?
I enjoy just because right now I'm a marketing manager for a substance abuse treatment program, and I just enjoy being able to use my skills and talents that God gave me to help put our product, what I guess you would say, or our organization out in the eyes of people who need it, who need the help. And I say this to people all the time when they ask about my job. I was like, I could do marketing for some big corporation, big company. All I'm doing is sometimes making a rich person richer. But you know, in the job I'm at now, you know, when I'm marketing for this company, I'm getting their product, of course, you know, in the eyes of people who need help.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm bringing in people who are struggling, you know, whether that's with addiction or mental health issues or both.
Right.
You know, I'm able to kind of spread the awareness to a wider audience and get more eyes on this situation so they can come in and get help.
And so that's the thing about it. Like, you're making a paycheck while you're there. Like, you're supporting your family. You're making sure people have food to eat and things like that. But, you know, not only that, but you're pouring into other people as well. You know, and that's the thing whenever it becomes to Christianity, whenever it becomes to church, whenever it becomes to your job. Like, you know, your job basically, no matter, I don't care what you do at your job, but that doesn't really matter. You know, the fact of that you're making a product while you're there, or you're creating a product while you're there, you know, to better service people at some point in time. Like, I think if we all looked at our job like that, and not only looked at our job like that, but looked at church like that, you know, like I'm coming in, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I need prayers. I need to be fixed sometimes. I need some stuff, you know, prayed for me and things like that. But, you know, also, man, I'm here to watch those people, you know, break down those challenges in their life. I'm here to tell people about the good news of the gospel. I'm here to do that kind of stuff. And it's like, but if I only showed up every Sunday for me, you know what I'm saying, just for me in the process, like, what I think about, like, what would preaching sound like if I just showed up for me? You know, what would my praise sound like if I just showed up for me? I'd be like, you know, God, thank you, Keenan, for showing up today. Keenan, you're the best, Keenan. You know, I mean, instead of like, you know, starting with, you know, thank you, Lord, for allowing me to show up today. Thank you, Lord, for giving me the strength and for giving me the knowledge and for giving me the ability and for, you know, giving me the health and, you know, things like that. It's like, you know, if I'm here to only be a consumer, if I'm here to only feed me, if I'm here to only make sure that my family's good and nobody else or whatever, then, you know, at that point in time, it's like, I beg the question, are we really serving the facility, whether it's your job or whether it's the church or whatever? Are we serving it in full capacity, number one, but are we serving it with a greater intention of good in mind? Right? I mean, that's my question.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we get so, you know, caught up in because we live in a very consumer-centric culture. You know, I was talking about earlier, I heard a pastor call it the Burger King mentality of have it your way.
Yeah.
You know, we want worship to be our way. We want the carpet color to be our way. We want the preaching to be our way. We want, you know, and it gets a little muddled. And I think, you know, as we were talking about this kind of before the podcast, you know, we were talking about, you know, the people who, you know, they constantly want, you know, they're self-serving. You know, a lot of people have that self-serving, selfish mentality, and really that's the antithesis, the opposite of being a Christian. And I had to say opposite to help out.
There you go. I was like, man, that just went straight over my head yet again.
I think it's the opposite of what we are called to be and do as Christians. You know, I mean, there's times, you know, you just read the first, you know, little bit of Acts. You know, you find Christians and believers who were selling everything they had to give to others.
Yeah.
You know, they were doing what they could to help other people.
Right.
You know, they weren't being selfish. They weren't self-serving. They were, you know, using what God gave them to help other people.
Right.
And, you know, and I think we get very behind in that, very backwards in that, you know, and I think a lot of it comes from, you know, the pressures of modern society of, you know, you're never going to have enough. You're never going to be good enough. You're never going to be rich enough, pretty enough, smart enough, talented enough, whatever it may be. And so everything we have, we feel like we have to hoard, and we feel like more people need to pour into us. And, you know, sometimes it's a backwards mentality, I think, that we've kind of gotten from the world, which is why, you know, the Bible says, do not be of the world, you
right.
know? And, you know, we've gotten that from the world, and it's seeped its way into church services, and it's seeped its way into Christians' hearts and lives and minds. But, you know, we have to understand that, you know, and we asked the question, you know, I guess towards the beginning of our conversation before the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, why do you come to church for?
Yeah.
You know, when you walk into a church building, what is your purpose? You know, what are you expecting out of that service? Are you expecting someone to pour into you? Or are you expecting to pour into someone else? Kind of as Keenan was saying, you know, sometimes you hold the key to the service, you know, and so it's just, you know, where are you at when you walk in the doors of a church? You know, what is your mindset?
What if we flipped it up? What if instead of asking, what do you expect, or what did you come to get, how about we ask the question, what did you come to give?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what did you come to give in the service? I don't care if it's a Wednesday, if it's a Sunday. What did you come to give that service? What was it? You know, what was it? Was it a word? Was it a praise? Was it worship? Was it prayer? Was it a smile? Was it a hug? You know, what did you come to give while you were here? Same way with your job or whatever. Like, you know, what did you come to give? What did you come to do? I think honestly, we make up our mind before we come in here. I think we do. I think we. There's moments and times I feel like that we may be in the shower, we may be in the car, or, you know, just driving, and whether it's going to work or whether it's coming to church, I think we kind of have our mind made up sometimes that before we walk in the doors, this is the max amount of effort I'm giving today. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the max amount of effort I'm putting in at work. So, you know, and it's a dangerous mentality to have, because I feel like, you know, whenever we say that, like, you know, this is all I'm going to do today because, you know, they're going to pay me regardless. Well, you know, if you come in with that mindset at church of like, you know, well, this is all I'm going to do today because, you know, this is what I do every Sunday, or this is, you know, whatever the case is. Like, if we come in with that dangerous mindset, first off, we're never going to grow like that. And I don't know about you, but I hate being stagnant. There's nothing worse, and I don't know if anybody's ever been in the country before that listens to these podcasts, but I grew up in the country, Nick, and there is nothing worse smelling than stagnant water. Water that doesn't move. I'm talking about holding in a mud puddle or holding somewhere for like 2 weeks straight, and it's like it just begins to smell, and then it attracts mosquitoes who are consumers because it's literally like it doesn't move, and so it's just a hotbed for a breeding ground of consumers. And that's the thing about it. Like, I feel like if you translate that into the church, if we don't move, if we become stagnant, then we become a breeding ground for consumers. Mosquito, yeah. Mosquito. I hate mosquitoes, by the way. But
Mosquito Christians.
Yeah, yeah, right. That's the podcast tonight. Mosquito Christians, man. But you know, like, I feel like we become a breeding ground for that, because, you know, it's like you attract that, you know, well, nothing's going on over here. I'm safe over here. You know, I'm cool over here. So, you know, I know what to expect. I know what to do. I know how to do it. And I'm just going to come in and do it. I'm not going to do anything extra. I'm not going to go above and beyond, because I'm not going to see the results of it. And that is stagnant. Yeah, that is stagnant at its very best. You know,
I think like this metaphor that you're kind of, you know, before I lose the thought, you know, like, you know, we see, and because we were talking about this, like, even like right when we first got together tonight, like, you know, just, you know, these mosquito Christians, they come to feed off of what is there. Yeah. And, you know, like, if you are, you know, if you are the one who is the source of whatever it is that they're seeking, you know, they're going to constantly feed off of you and feed off of you and feed off of you. They're not, you know, necessarily giving anything to it, but they're just sitting there feeding and, as we kind of saying, consuming the product, the thing that's there, the service, the Holy Spirit, whatever it is. They're just sitting there consuming it, but they're not putting anything into it. Right. And, you know, it's just like, you know, sometimes I think you were kind of talking about how sometimes we can be stagnant, but we can also be too available. Yeah. You know, where it's just like, you know, anything I need, I'm coming to you for it. Well, anything that's going on, I'm coming to you for it.
Yeah, I made the statement, and just, you know, to let everybody know kind of what we're talking about, I just made the statement, and I stand behind this 100%. Is that, you know, if you're available or accessible 24/7, 365, you will become abused and taken advantage of at some point in time, because, you know, you're not setting the boundaries for people, and if you're not setting the boundaries, people are just going to use you, because, like you said, we live in that self-serve type of environment where people are just going to come in and, you know, they're going to take what they can from you and go on. And, you know, if they can't get it from you, they'll find it somewhere else.
And if you just keep giving and giving and giving, they're going to keep expecting that over and over and over again.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I'm sure a lot of people have had, you know, that boss or something before where, you know, they sent you an email at, you know, after work hours and you answered it. Well, now they're going to expect you to answer your emails after work hours.
But isn't it crazy though to you that you can't even do that anymore? You know, it's like we almost take God's grace as an excuse to sin. You see what I'm saying? Like it's like, I know God's going to forgive me, so I'll just go ahead and do it. What? You know, or it's like, or God has so much grace that he can pour out on me. I'll just go ahead and I won't serve. I won't give. I won't go. I won't do. I won't, I mean, it's cool. I'm saved. I'm good, and it's like, I just don't think that we were just only called to be saved, but we were called to serve, and not just serve when it's convenient, but serve because we have a heart and a passion and a desire for the kingdom of God.
Like, I mean, the sign, we talked about this earlier as well, and it's just like the signs of a Christian is there should be, fruits being produced from what you're doing. Like if you're, it's one of those things where, if you call yourself a Christian, it's kind of like that old duck metaphor. Like if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Yeah. I think it was if it looks and walks like a
whatever,
duck. But, I feel you,
quacks,
man.
It's probably a duck too.
Yeah, I feel you. I'll go with that.
But anyway, so I mean, it's like, if you call yourself a Christian, but, you're not doing anything of a Christian nature, you're not serving, you're not giving, you're not helping, you're not loving, you're not, whatever adjective like that or synonym you want to put in there. But like, if you're not doing these things, then, you're kind of leading a lie. People are going to look at you and be like, are you really saved? And maybe you need to ask yourself that question. Am I really saved? Have I really received salvation, or am I just pretending?
Man, here we go.
And,
you're going to get deep on me.
We're getting deep. And so, I think it's just important for us to do that, to take that inventory in our lives. I'm a Christian. How are you a Christian? What are you contributing? What are you producing? What are you, what are you doing? What are what are you coming to church for? Are you coming to church to check off a box? And it's one of those things, if you're not bringing and not to say this is, in every situation, but, if you're not bringing a Bible to church, what makes me think that you're reading it at home? If you're not praising God at, church, then what?
Are you being judgy?
Absolutely.
Are you being judgy, Nick?
No, not judgy. I think I'm just kind of trying to point some stuff out, but, it's just one of those things, from an outsider perspective, if I'm looking in and you're saying that you're a Christian, but you're standing here like a fish stick on a Sunday morning, not doing anything, a frozen fish stick.
There you go.
And you're like, oh yeah, I praise God all the time. I'm like, well, you won't even praise Him in the church building.
You're right.
I read the Bible all the time.
In the space where you should be most comfortable to praise.
Exactly. And we talked about this earlier. About how we use so many excuses, but like if we were to flip the script on a lot of things that we do in life, I don't sing. Why don't you praise God at church? Oh, I don't sing. I don't like to sing. Well, you sing in the shower. I guarantee you've sang in the shower before, sang in your car, you're singing along to songs that way.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I don't really, I have a hard time reading. Well, you're reading those romance novels, you're reading the action novel, you're reading this, that, and the other, and then you're just like, if you were to take the action that you're doing, whether that's singing in the shower or reading or listening to music or something like that, if you were to take that action and just apply the Christian principle to it, I guess is how to say it. But, like if you were to, instead of just listening to music, now you're listening to worship music.
Yeah.
Instead of singing 50 Cent in the shower, you're singing Lauren Daigle in the shower.
Don't come after me,
coming
man.
after you.
I was going to say, I usually work on preaching in the shower, though. Right, I ain't going to lie about it. I do.
But, and that's just my thing. I think, a lot of us, we like to say that we're one way, but we're, we aren't doing everything we could be doing. We're not putting in the effort we could be putting in. I think sometimes we lie to ourselves, or maybe even the devil gets, lies to us and be like, oh, you can't sing. Nobody wants to hear you. You just sing your rap songs in the shower, your country music lyrics, Morgan Wallen in the shower. Nobody wants to, nobody wants to hear you out loud. That one person standing beside you who's partially deaf in their right ear can't hear you anyway, but they're going to judge you for how your voice sounds.
Yeah.
And, these little different things that kind of get in our ear and get us messed up and get us, all confused and questioning things. But at the end of the day, I think it's just important for us to take that step back and say, am I living the life I say that I am? If I'm saying I'm a Christian, am I serving? Am I giving? Am I just coming in here to get something out of it every Sunday? Or if am I calling myself a Christian just so I don't have to go to hell one day? These things that we say and we do, but again, I've always believed, and even, biblically, if, the signs of a Christian are the fruits that they produce, what they do, they act different, they talk different, they look different, and it's just that vibe they give off is different. And, I think it's just important for us, if you didn't come in here and tell people you went to church on Sunday, how would they know you go to church on Sunday?
That's it. Galatians 5, I mean, we'll talk about this just for a second since we were talking about, the fruit. But it's Galatians 5, 22. But, if you listen to these words really quick, You know, these are words that I think really call into question how many people really have a feeling of the Spirit inside of them. Because you look, it says the fruit of the Spirit is love. You know, first off, love. You love people. You know what I'm saying? There's regardless of if you agree with people or not, we were called to love people. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So love. All right, let's go to the next one. Joy. You know how many Christians struggle with the word joy? It's 3 letters. Mm-hmm. You know how many Christians look pissed off you know how many Christians are going to get pissed off because they heard me say pissed off? You know what I'm saying? 3 times, bro. You know, you shouldn't be saying that. You're a pastor. You know, I mean, like, I'm calling it like I see it. You know, like joy, Joy. You know how many people will walk into churches across America on Sunday morning looking like that they were drugged by the collar tied to their vehicle to get there, and like literally have the worst case of hemorrhoids, and they were drugged on their back end to get here. Like, you know, they're like, where is the joy of Christians at? I said this Sunday. It's time for us to be blessed again. It's time for the church to be blessed again. You know, Christians are struggling with joy. Here's a good word, peace. How many Christians have peace in their life? Peace. Like, I'm laying down tonight and I know that I'm going to heaven, even if I don't wake up. That's peace to me. You know, I got $22 in the bank. I'm still at peace. You know, I've got, you know, it's like I've got stuff going on, but I'm still at peace. Like, how many Christians struggle with peace? Oh, here's a big one. You ready for this P word? Patience. How many Christians struggle with patience? Waiting on God. They can't even wait at McDonald's, and you're talking about waiting on God. Like, I think we need to have a full study on this and just say, look, like, do you have the Spirit, or do you have some form of I don't know what you would even call it. Like, you know, like, how many Christians really have the Spirit if we're struggling with love, joy, peace, patience? We ain't even got to the rest of it. Kindness. You know, to me, kindness and love can kind of be, you know, and in the goodness, you know, I mean, I feel like you can kind of lump those together, the love, the kindness, the goodness. But watch this one, faithfulness. Faithfulness. Faithfulness means, you know what, you can be counted on. And that's the one thing that, like, that really that if you serve in any capacity, I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're cleaning toilets. I don't care if you're teaching. I don't care if you're parking lot ministry. I don't care if you're social media. You know, if you're going to serve, you have to be faithful. You have to be able to be counted on. You know, it's just like going to a job. You have to be able to be counted on, or else they're going to fire you.
Yep. I mean, if you don't show up, I mean, one part of the cog's missing, the whole thing's not going to work the way it needs to.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just it, you know, and it's like, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that we should be, how can I say this? Let me try to work this around again. We want to make it where we are replaceable, but at the same point in time, like, you know, I think we should come in and put our talents to work so much that it's like people feel it when we're not here. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, faithfulness, man. Faithfulness in every area. Be a faithful tither. Be a faithful giver. Be a faithful prayer. Be a faithful attendee. Be a faithful, you know, we talked about this. Be a faithful sharer. You know, let people know where you go to church. Let people know that you're involved. Let people know that you're doing that stuff. Be faithful about that kind of stuff. Be faithful to Christ, for heaven's sakes. Be faithful in reading. Be faithful in praying. Be faithful in believing that He's going to do something great. Be faithful that He's going to be faithful to you. You know, I mean, that's it. Gentleness, I feel like we can go back and kind of again lump that in with love and kindness. Here's a huge one: self-control. You know how many Christians struggle with self-control? We just talked about this on Sunday, Nick. 70% of people in the United States is overweight. 60% is obese. we struggle with self-control.
It's a big problem.
We struggle with self-control. You know, how many people are over $100,000 in debt in their life? We struggle with self-control. How many people's on their seventh marriage? We struggle with self-control. How many, how many people's on their seventh church? We struggle with self-control. You know, I mean, that's just it. Like there's so much out there that, again, I think that we blame the devil for that is not really the devil's fault. It's just the fact of that we don't have self-control. The devil made me do it. No, you just couldn't say no.
Yeah, we're fighting his hardest battles for him.
Absolutely. Well, man, I heard a brother break it down like this the other day, and I told people this on Sunday, but he said it so much better than I did. But I said on Sunday, I was like, look, the devil's not going to send storms in your life if you're too busy creating storms for yourself, right? Like, he's not going to worry. Now, he broke it down like this, man, and it was a banger. I thought it was a good one. But he was like, he said, listen, he said, the devil doesn't conflict you. If you're already in comfort, he doesn't bother you. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, like that, that's rich. That's good stuff right there. If you're already in comfort, he's not going to bother you. He's not. If you just lackadaisical serving God, if you just lackadaisical showing up to church, if you just lackadaisical tithing, praying, reading your Bible, if you just getting by, if you're just that person that's kind of in, kind of out, doing the hokey pokey, the devil's going to leave you right where you be. He's not going to try to trip you up, mess you up, because you're not a threat. You're not a threat. You're not this, you're not this person who's coming in fact, you practicing too much self-control sometimes, Let God do it. Let God work in it. Self-control. Watch this. I'm sorry, that was the last one. I apologize. I was going to bust it off with one more, but
PKR version.
Right. Yeah, there you go. So, but that is the fruits of the Spirit. The Bible is saying that whenever you have the Spirit of God, reigning in your life, that you should be producing this fruit in your life. And so, to me, if you're not producing this fruit, the question becomes, how much of the Spirit do you have? How much of the Spirit are you willing to get? How much of the Spirit do you want? That's the question. And, in order to me, Nick, in order to get that Spirit, or to receive that Spirit, or to even have more of that Spirit, we have to come in with this servant mentality. With this servant mentality of, I'm not here to get, I'm here to give. I'm here to give my worship. I'm here to give my time. I'm here to give my effort. I'm here to give my tithe. I'm here to give a hug. I'm here to give a smile. I'm here to give. And I think once we have that mentality, we don't become consumers anymore. We are producers. We are producers. And honestly, I mean, whenever we're producers, man, that's whenever we're at the best of our game at that point, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about this too briefly, but I think, I think even we as Christians, those of us who do serve, and those of us who do see the benefits or the positives of serving, I think serving gets a bad rep. I think people are already I have such a little amount of time. I already don't have that much money. I already don't have this, or I don't have that. But then we get in that mindset of I have to hoard what I have. I don't have time to give more to the church. I don't have money to give to the church. I already can barely afford my bills. I can already barely, I barely have time to sit at home and relax. Yeah. And, we get, so again, that's a self-serving mentality that we have. And if we are willing to trust God, to take that leap of faith and to trust Him by giving, that tiny 10% that He asks of us, if we're willing to give our skills and our talents, to the church, to the ministry, to the people in our church, if we're willing to give those things, then, and again, this gets back to what I was saying. I think we as serving Christians, we're bad about, I guess, giving God the glory. We had this discussion before the podcast, like a lot of other discussions we have before the podcast. But we sometimes are bad about, because I think people look at us and they think, oh, you're blessed because, or you're lucky because you worked hard enough, or you studied hard enough. You have that college degree because you studied hard enough, or you got that job because you worked hard enough, or you got that car because you worked long enough. I think people look at us with that mentality because we're so bad about saying, no, it wasn't me, it was God.
Right.
I gave my time and effort to God. I gave my 10% to God. I gave everything I had to God that I could give to God, and God blessed me in return with that. I tell people all the time, I said, the job I have right now, it wasn't my skills or talents that got me there. It was God that got me there. The college degree that I have right now, I can tell you right now, I barely got that college degree if not for praying and God answering prayers.
Yeah.
And the vehicle I have right now would not be for, I would not have it if not for God to provide the finances and the ability and I wouldn't be able to drive the vehicle if God hadn't given me the ability to, step on the gas. I wouldn't have the ability to get out of bed in the morning if not for God. I wouldn't have the ability to teach youth if not for God putting me in situations where I'll learn to be a better public speaker and be more confident in front of kids and, teaching and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be where I was if not for, you and not for the church, building me up and, not gaining knowledge from, what you said and what God said through you. And, again, God has given you that knowledge to give to other people, and God has given me knowledge to give to other people. And it's crazy to me. I think we as Christians are just so bad about giving God the glory for everything we have and everything we've done and everything we've accomplished and everything we're blessed with. Because, again, I do believe it's a direct result of trusting God, having faith in God, serving God, giving to God. And I just think that we get so backwards. We get so worried. We get so, again, that self-control. We want to control our finances too much. Yeah. We want to control our time too much. We want to control our families too much. We want to, and I think that can kind of get us in the opposite direction. Like if we would just trust God with our finances, trust God with trust God with our time, then, He would give us more of that. He would give us what we, again, as the Bible says, He'd give you the desires of your heart. If you just trust God with it, if you lean in towards Him, if you give your time, effort, skills, money, whatever it is to God, He will bless you in return with that.
Right, absolutely. And again, that becomes being a producer at that point. Once you fully relent and you give in, you no longer become a consumer, you are a producer, because God is going to bless what you're giving. And God doesn't bless with just you in mind. We've said that time and time again. When God blesses, He blesses with more people in mind. And I know we keep on referencing the conversations that we have before the podcast, but we were talking about how, I was like, I said whenever, and I've said this time and time again, and I always say whenever I make it, like whatever making it looks like, I guess, whether it be, whether it be in, on stages in front of, thousands of people to spread the gospel, or whether it be on airwaves, to impact, thousands of lives, or whatever the case is. I've always said, it is my duty, my right, my obligation. It is my freedom. It is my driving purpose and passion to pour back into the people that's invested. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I've said this, time and time again. It's like, when I'm killing it, I'm coming back and I'm getting a group that's going to start killing it, and then they're going to come back and get a group that's going to start killing it. And it's like, there's so much competition. I think honestly, because why there's so many consumers is because there's so much competition. And it's insane to me. There's competition in churches. There's competition amongst churches. There's competition, and we talked about this. There's 8 billion people in the world. There's plenty enough people for the churches that we have, And we talked about this stat, the fast food industry. We just talked about this Sunday. Almost $1 trillion in revenue, in 2022, 2023 so far. So obviously there's enough money floating around out there. So it's like, why are we competing against each other? Why are we competing? Why is it like, I'm just the mentality. I think the mentality of becoming a consumer Christian makes us compete against each other, because at that point in time, if we're consuming, it's in order to feed us. And if I am fed more, then I can be stronger, and I can do more, and I can be this, and I can be that. And that is what a consumer is. But a producer, a producer, it's almost like I think like music. I think like music. Like somebody has a good idea. Somebody has some good words. Somebody has a good beat. But you know what? It takes that producer putting it all together for everyone to enjoy. You know what I'm saying? It's like people bring different things to the table, but I'm a consumer because that producer done something magical with everything that they put together, and that's it. Like we have to be producers once we come inside of this place, and I honestly think just to be a producer, though, like I said, we have to get that mentality of we're coming in this place to serve. We're coming in this place to serve.
And I think it's also important to remember that if you're in a situation or you're in a church where there are more consumers than producers, you're running into another problem.
Somebody's going to starve, bro.
Yeah, somebody's going to starve, but also that producer's going to run out. You're always relying. If you sit there, I think we run into that problem sometimes of just not valuing and respecting and appreciating, the producers in our lives. We're constantly taking and taking and taking, and we have to remember, at some point somebody's going to have to pour back into them. And I think it's that important mentality we have to have of, again, we can't just keep taking. We have to also pour back into the people who are pouring into us. We have to support them, lift them up. Tell them that we appreciate them. God, give love offerings, give this, that, or the other. And I think it's just important that we remember, if we're in a situation where people are just constantly consuming, they're just constantly taking. It's like when you're in a toxic relationship. I mean, really, you're in a relationship with somebody who's constantly taking from you, taking your money, taking your time, taking your love, taking your appreciation, taking your this, that, the other, whatever it may be. That person's going to feel empty. They're going to feel drained. They're going to feel worthless. They're going to feel, and it's the same way that, you have to think about with your the producers in your life, the people who are pouring into you on a regular basis. Let them know, what they mean to you. Pour back into them. Help them out any way that you can.
Yeah.
Pour back into other, areas of their life, whether that's financially, whether that's emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever that may be, pouring back into those producers in your life, using your skills and talents in order to be producers in other people's lives. Right. And it's just that thing, I was thinking just, about, the cycle in Acts, when all those people, just started being Christians, and what did they do? They sold everything they had to provide for each other.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's all
I just wanted to sit. I thought we were sitting on it for a second.
No, that's all I had.
It's crazy to think, but I mean, we live in a
society. How many people
though?
Do you know how many people would look at you though and go, "That's crazy"?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
That's crazy. You want me to sell everything I have to help support somebody else, and it's like. Yeah, because the person, supposedly, like this is the way it's supposed to work, the person that comes after you is supposed to sell everything to help you out. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be a never-ending cycle. Mm-hmm. But the problem becomes is that whenever you put two consumers together. Mm-hmm. Because, if you have a consumer and then a producer and then a consumer and then a producer and a consumer, it works. Mm-hmm. But, and that's the reason why it worked so well over in Acts is because, there were people coming together who were literally producing so everyone could consume. Mm-hmm. And, that's the reason why it works so well. But in today's society, everybody just wants to consume, and it's like, so there's not near as many producers and there's just a bunch of consumers. Mm-hmm. And that makes for a heck of a time. But go ahead.
Yeah, it makes for a very heck of a time.
Yeah.
And it's just, all these people willing to give everything they had to help other people, and we live in a society today where we have people, and just all blunt honesty, we have people who profess to be Christians and, they refuse to let their neighbor borrow something. You know what I mean? Oh, no, I don't think you need to have that. They need $5. Oh, sorry, I can't give you that. They need to borrow the car for a weekend. Oh, sorry, can't do that. But and then again, that goes back to the whole fruits of the Spirit thing that we were talking about. If you are really truly a Christian, there should be these things where you're like, if you need something, I'll give it to you. I'll help you. Yeah. When you're walking down the street, you see a homeless man and his feet are bleeding, give him your shoes. You know what I mean? These types of situations that we just, we neglect as Christians. And, it's important for us again to remember that, there's hurting and lost people out there, but at the end of the day, we have to be helping each other because if we don't, who is? The world isn't going to help us in the way that the Christians can help each other. And if we're constantly helping each other, we have to understand we are being obedient to God, and in our obedience, God will bless us. Yeah, and then we'll be able to bless more people. Right. And again, it's that cycle that you were just kind of mentioning. And it's just again, we just have to get that mentality of if you are a Christian, then you're not here to just consume.
Or
You know,
exist.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you're not supposed to just warm up a pew on a Sunday. You know,
Right.
you're supposed to serve, whether that's cleaning, whether that's teaching, whether that's helping put a sign up, or that's getting a baptismal together, or whether that's running a camera system, or running a sound system, or running slides, or playing music, or singing, or whatever it is that you have the ability and you have the skills and talents to do. That is what you are supposed to be doing. Because if you don't, then again, like I said, you're going to be consuming from those producers, and what's going to happen is they're going to run out, they're going to be burnt out, they're going to get frustrated, they're going to get
Right.
upset,
Yeah.
and then you're going to destroy everything that was built up.
Yeah.
Because you've just sat there and you've basically like you sucked the blood out of the animal. There's nothing left.
Mosquito.
Yeah, exactly.
Mosquito.
Bring the mosquito metaphor back.
Yeah,
Because
mosquito.
you're sucking the blood out of it. It has no energy. It has nothing left to do anything because
Right.
nobody's been pouring back into it. Nobody's been taking care of the producer.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, man, and how can I say it? Like, and I don't want to say it to a point, but it's like I don't know, man. Maybe it's just the question. Like, I just need to be real, Like, just stop doing it. Just be real. Like, are you a parasite or a producer? Mm-hmm. Like, that's a good question, right? Like, if you're a parasite, you only live off of a live host. Mm-hmm. And, if you're a producer, the thing about it is, if you get enough parasites on you, it's going to suck the life out of you, man. And that's why I said too, like, you have to be cautious with your availability and your accessibility, because if you are not, you're going to get a lot of people around you who always need you. I'm throwing up air quotes right now. Mm-hmm. Who always need you, who always got to have something from you, who always, but here's the thing about it. It's like, if you always let people around you that are, man, I'm going to preach again, that are attached to you, but aren't how can I say this? But aren't assisting you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They're attached to you, so but they're not assisting you.
Yeah, it's a parasitic relationship.
Yes,
not a
exactly.
Symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
I know. If you're a biology major, you
I was
going to
say, I'm going to shake my head like I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm going to roll my eyes like I don't. So, but yeah, it's that kind of relationship where, if you let enough people attach themselves to you that bring nothing to you but suck everything out of you, then you, my friend, are going. You're not going to have anything to produce at that point, and that's where, just being a pastor myself, being young, I call 38 young, but just in that regards, where I look at my, I'm learning that, where it's like, and it took me a brain fart of a long time to figure that out. In fact, it really just hit me today while I was in the gym, where God was like, if you don't manage your availability and your accessibility, then you're going to be taken advantage of way more than what you want to be, and it got me just really thinking about, man, I need to step back and think about this and be like, maybe I don't need to be as highly accessible or available or, things like that. Because if I'm not really vetting or going through my list of people that are, around me, texting me, calling me, Facebook and whatever, like every day, kind of like goes back to the question where I've started asking myself, and people may think I'm selfish or whatever, but I've started asking myself the question, what does it cost me to be around you? Mm-hmm. If we go back to the fruits of the Spirit, if it costs me my love, my peace, my joy, my patience, my goodness, my self-control, if it costs me that to be around you, then you know what? You're taking from me and investing nothing in return, And if I'm always giving but never being invested into, how am I a producer? You know what I'm saying? How am I a producer in that point? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's really what we have to really understand too, is the fact of that, this servant mentality of living for Christ and submitting to Him and, and giving it all to Him and trusting Him. But at the same point in time, once we do that, we're going to produce some stuff, these fruits of the Spirit. But we also have to understand that the people we hang around are going to either produce or consume in our lives. And I think we have to have a healthy balance of both, because if we don't, if we have all consumers, guess what? We're going to burn out. If we have all producers, we're going to have more than what we're capable to deal with, mm-hmm. and that fruit's going to rot, mm-hmm. So we have to have a healthy balance. And now, how do we get that healthy balance? It's a good question. You know,
That's what we've been asking ourselves all night.
Yeah, right. How do we get that healthy balance? I don't know. I mean, I'm still in the game of figuring that out. A lot of discernment, a lot of wisdom, things like that. But it's like, I've said this from the very beginning. I think people will offer you the moon or promise you the moon, and then give you a moon pie. I need to put that on a shirt. I've been saying that a lot. But I think
that
people
would only sell in Kentucky.
I know, right? Absolutely, with an RC Cola. But it's true. I think people promise you the moon. I think they do it all the time, and then they end up giving you a moon pie instead. And so it's even we said this before. I want to be like Jesus, man. I want to be, I want to preach to the masses, and I want to see people's lives changed, and and I want to stand for truth, and I want to do it out of love, and things like that. But Jesus had his group, he had his crew, he had his core, and that he poured into, and to me, it wasn't the fact that he didn't love everybody, but he knew that these were going to be the ones who would be producers past him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Next generation producers.
Yeah, the next generation producers. And that's it. Like, I think, if you're a pastor or if you're a leader or if you're something like that, you're looking, I'm going to be friends with everybody, but I'm looking for producers. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for the next generation.
Just like any manager would.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking for people who are going to be able to carry the mantle, just like I would. And I'm not saying, step for step, pound for pound, whatever. I'm not saying like you have to do it exactly like me, but I'm saying, and I made this statement to you before we started this, that, I know that I'm going to be here. I know, I know that I know that I'm showing up. I know that I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make this service as successful as what it is. Every single time we open these doors, I'm looking for people who are going to do the same thing, and I want to pour into those people because they're going to be producers. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what it basically boils down to. I think that's what we really have to get. Like, we have to follow that mentality of Jesus, where it's like, yeah, man, we're preaching, but we also need to find producers because we're not always going to be there to preach, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and we another thing that we kind of talked about, but I think we talked about the people who sit in any church on a Sunday service, or Wednesday night or whenever it may be. Ask yourself the question, what am I getting out of this? Why do I come here to this church? And then ask yourself, well, what would happen if I started pouring into this church? Would I get more out of it? Yeah. And then it's just like, because again, I do think that there's a lot of people who sit in pews across, America, across the world, who sit there, they're consumers, they're parasites, if you want to call them that. They're just constantly taking and taking and taking and just, checking a box off and not wanting to do anything. And they're sitting on skills, sitting on talent, sitting on money, sitting on whatever. But God wants to, bless them. God wants to bless the church. God wants to bless people who they would bless because of their faithfulness. Yeah. And I think it's just important for us, again, to take that step back, to take that inventory of our lives and ask ourselves the question, and I mean, even the people who listen, who come to Fruition, ask yourself, what do I get out of coming to Fruition Church?
Right.
What am I getting? Am I getting love? Am I getting, is my life changed because I've been coming to Fruition Church?
Am I giving more love?
Exactly.
Am I getting more peace? Am I happier?
Are you seeing positive change?
Right. Yeah. Do I have that self-control? Do I have that gentleness? Do I have, do I have those things in my life? And it's like, I would ask the question, like, if you're not seeing production, the question is why,
mm-hmm. And
is
it because you're not serving? Is it because you're not giving? Is it because you're not being faithful?
Right. And even if you are, like, if you're saying, oh, like, I'm here all the time and I'm doing this and this and this and this, okay, that's good. Well, here's the question then, because, seasons come and seasons go. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm not naive to think that God uses different people in different seasons for different things. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, to me, I always want to grow. I've found that, over years of ministry, not even ministry, but just life in general, man, that in order to grow, that it's not really most of the time it's not really the environment, but it is the invoking of you wanting to grow. To me, I'm going to grow in any environment. You know what I'm saying? Like, put me in whatever, I'm going to grow, man, because that's just who I am. I want to grow. No matter what job I go into, I want to grow. I want to make the most money. I want to have the most responsibility. I want to, if there's another level, I want to be on it. That's just the way I am. And so to me, it's not really the environment. It's like I said, it's the invoking of the person wanting to grow. So that's where, God will lead you into different situations, different time frames, and different areas to do that with. But, I want to read this scripture, really quick right here. I think we've done pretty good tonight, Nicholas. But this is 1 Samuel 12:24. It says, but be sure to fear the Lord. And again, we've said that many a times, fear translates to respect. Be sure to respect the Lord and serve him faithfully with all your heart. Now, let me say that, with all your heart. Not just a little bit, not just the spots you want him to see, not just the places that sound good, feel good, but all your heart. Serve him with all your heart. Consider what great things he has done for you. And I think really, Nick, and you can throw this on here too, but I think here's the thing, I think if we were to consider how good God's been to us, and truly mean it, and truly want to worship him, I don't think I would have to stand up on stage on Sunday and say, give the Lord a hand clap of praise. Mm-hmm. I think people would already be clapping. Mm-hmm. I don't think I would have to stand and say, invite your friends back for this Sunday service, because I think we'd already be doing it. Mm-hmm. I think so. I think where we struggle with the most is understanding the goodness of God and how good he has been to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, where you go back to where you were talking about having that leg to push that gas pedal, and having the health to go to work, and having the health to get up out of bed in the mornings, and things like that, where it's like we have the ability, man, we have the ability to do so much, and it's like
we neglect it.
We neglect it, man. We get to do this. Like we get to do this. Like, there's so many times that I'm like, I get frustrated and I get angry and I get tired and a lot of different things, but we get to do this. Like, we get to come to church. I get to preach. You get to teach. We get to work on this camera system. We get to do these podcasts. We get to, we get to fellowship with people. We get to, we get to do a lot of different things in life, man. And that's just the goodness of God. And I was telling you, I had a really great conversation with a guy today. Just about, he doesn't come to church, and he's like, I don't do the church thing. I believe in God, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And, but by the time the conversation was over with, man, I could kind of feel it like easing towards, may show up sometime, and that's where, that's where it's just like, I think just being real with people, but again, being that producer. I walk into situations looking to produce. Mm-hmm. I walk into situations looking like going, man, how can I talk to this person? How can I help this person? How can I manage this situation? How can I point it towards God? How can I get this person to church? How can I get this person to give? How can I get this person to live? How can I get this person to, to receive what God wants to do for them? Like, that's my mentality, no matter what situation. I think, again, if we come down to that and we realize how good God's been to us, we can't help but just tell other people and show other people and be around that and really want to produce that, So what's your final thoughts, man? Talk to me.
I mean, my last thing is, I just think, because this is something I did Sunday. 100% honest is, and you preached upon identity and things like that, and that's, something I've struggled with, as far as just, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? What does God want me to do?
Yeah.
And so,
I can attest to that. We've had many conversations over that.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And it's something I've struggled with for a very, very long time, and I still struggle with, and I'm still trying to, work my way through and pray my way through, and hope to God that he'll show it to me, as I work and move and learn and grow and all that kind of stuff. But my biggest thing is, I guess you can call it a challenge or whatever, but as you're sitting, if you're in your office or you're in your church building on a Sunday or Wednesday, Saturday, whenever you're there, wherever you're at, I want you to just ask yourself the question, why am I here? And I want you to pray on that question. Ask God, why am I here? What purpose do I serve here? Who am I as a a member or a person who goes to Fruition Church? What am I supposed to be doing? You know, where can I be serving? Where can I be giving? Where can I be learning? Where can I be producing? You know, ask yourself those questions, you know, and pray to God to provide you answers to those questions. And again, you know, that's something that I do on a regular basis. Just Sunday I did it, you know, as Keenan was preaching, and, you know, and I was just, it's just these things, you know, because I know a lot of people struggle with that, you know, that identity of, you know, who am I? You know, there's people who are 72 years old still trying to figure out who they are, you know, what they like, what they enjoy.
It's sad, man.
It is, and I don't want to be there, you know, and I think that's something that, you know, I've seen people say that, you know, and I don't want to be there. I want to be working towards, you know, who God has called me to be from 25 up to 72, and maybe hopefully longer than that. And so, you know, I want to be able to find that. And so sometimes it takes getting uncomfortable. It takes doing things you're not used to. It takes, you know, asking the question, what am I doing here? You know, it takes the question, you know, it takes asking the question, you know, why am I here? What am I getting out of this? What am I giving into this? You know, and what am I seeing as a result of what I'm doing? You know, and just ask yourself that question, you know, and just pray about it and dig deep into it, read into the Word about it, and just try to figure out that thing you could be contributing, that producer you could be being, you know. And I think it's just, we want people, you know, again, if you're in a work environment, if you're in a church environment, wherever it is, we want you to stop being a parasite and start being a producer. Right. We want you to start, you know, taking initiative, doing more, seeking more, praying more, loving more, being kind more, you know, having more self-control, you know, all these different things. We want you to be able to be a producer, so that way you can lead up and grow another generation. You know, we want you to constantly be chasing after the next generation of producers.
Absolutely.
So, you know, hopefully, in our ranting tonight, somebody can take something out of this and just be like, okay, I'm fired up. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to finally do what I said. You know, I'm not going to stop saying I'm going to volunteer, and I'm going to actually volunteer. I'm going to stop saying I'm going to do this project, and I'm going to actually do this project. Yeah. You know, we hope that this kind of lights that fire underneath you to kind of say, hey, if you do this, God has blessings for you.
Right.
You know, that you're going to not only bless, you know, you're not only going to receive blessings, but you're also going to bless other people. And that's the most important part. You know, and we don't do this to, you know, we don't serve, we don't do all this stuff just receive the blessings. You know, we do these things to bless other people, to help other people, to grow other people. The blessing is just a side effect to that.
Yeah.
But it is a biblically guaranteed side effect of that.
Right.
And, you know, that's what we're trying to encourage you guys to understand, is that is a biblically guaranteed side effect of serving and loving and giving and trusting and having faith, is that you will receive that. And so I just hope that you guys, you hear that, and you take that to heart, you pray about it, and you move forward with where God is convicting you to go.
Absolutely. So that's a good way to finish it out right there. I like it. You know, it's just the side effect of it all. Like, you know, whenever you become a producer, you will be blessed. You will be blessed for sure. So thank you guys so much again for tuning in tonight. And I don't think it was really ranting. I think it was just, you know, I mean, I think it's a good conversation. You know, not a lot of people will agree, but it's all good, you know. Either way, we thank you guys so much. Hit that download button. Tell your friends. Tell your family. People suck. Love them anyways. Check us out across all available platforms. And we love you. We thank you. Thank you for the support. We'll see you next week.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go.
Thank you to everyone for listening to the People Suck But Love Them Anyways podcast. As always, you can check us out on Facebook at Fruition Church, YouTube at Fruition Church of Hodgenville, and check out our website at www.fruitionchurchky.org. Remember, don't suck and love people.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go.